What it do, it's your boy Melbo. And you tune in to the South Got Something to Say podcast, powered by the Pipeline Project, where we expose what's broken and build what's better. Everybody, let's tap in, let's tap in, let's tap in.
Mic check, 1, 2. Welcome to the wave. It's the South Got Something to Say. No time to behave. We talk truth from the booth. Ain't no time for the fake. Politics, pain, and power. Every move that we make. From Selma to Savannah, we rise and we stand. With a voice for the voiceless and truth in our hand. Portez blazing. Every Thursday we ignite Southern soul in your speakers. We shine that light up. Down in the South, we got something to say. Turn the volume up. We don't play. From the struggle to the rise, we pave that way. It's the real every week. Press play, press play. Down in the South, we got something to say. Turn the volume up. We don't play. From the struggle to the rise, we pave that way. It's the real every week.
A 6-year-old gets suspended for having a meltdown. A kid with ADHD get arrested for fidgeting. Schools are supposed to help our children, but they're creating more trauma instead. Every parent needs to see this video. 73% of kids in special education are there because of trauma. Not learning disabilities, but trauma. But schools treat them like criminals, not children. So if you're a parent, educator, or just someone who cares, stay with me until the end of this video. This could change how you see every so-called bad kid you ever met. And first, we gotta dissect the problem. The shocking statistics show 68% of students have experienced some type of trauma, but only 12% of schools use trauma-informed practices. If this doesn't sound like a crisis to you, keep watching because it gets worse. So we got to get right here at this time and let's define the problem. And the first thing we got to define, what is trauma? Let's talk about trauma. When we say trauma, we're not just talking about a physical. We're not just talking about the physical abuse. We're talking about ACEs. That's an acronym for Adverse Childhood Experience. These include things like witnessing domestic violence, having a parent incarcerated, experiencing poverty or homelessness, losing a loved one, constantly instability or neglect. The more ACEs a child has, the more likely they are to develop emotional, behavioral, and academic struggles. And yet most schools never ask, what happened to this child? They only ask, what's wrong with them? Why are we not asking what happened to the child instead of asking what's wrong with them? And real quick, if you're a parent, especially a black or brown parent who's ever worried about your child being misunderstood or mishandled at school, you're gonna wanna stick around until the end. I'll put together a free checklist with 5 powerful questions you can ask your school to make sure, to be certain they are providing trauma-informed care, not just punishment. It's simple, direct, and could literally change the way your child is treated in school. I'll give you access to it right before we wrap up. So you want to stick around to the end. You don't want to miss it. The second thing we gotta understand is how trauma mimics ADHD or defiance or aggression. Now here's what most people, even some people that are educators, it's some things that they just don't understand. Trauma can look like ADHD or defiance. To break it down simply, to easily understand it, imagine a kid who zones out during class. Teachers think he's lazy or doesn't care. But that could be a child who is disassociating because their nervous system overwhelmed. A lot of children start to disassociate themselves when their nervous system is overwhelmed. Or a student who explodes when you give them a direction. That's not a bad kid. That could be a kid who's been screamed at or hit at home. Their brain is in survival mode. So we got to be able to know the difference when we see a kid. We can't keep labeling kids bad kids without trying to find the underlying issue. We don't know if this kid being beat at home or witnessing domestic violence, living in poverty, or homeless. We don't understand that these kids' brains might be in survival mode. And the next time we gotta look at, the third thing we gotta look at is how teachers and school resource officers escalate instead of de-escalate. Now, this is where the real harm happen at. Instead of recognizing these signs as cries for help, schools often escalate the situation. Let's say a student throws a chair after being triggered. Instead of asking why, they get sent to the office, they get handcuffed, and in some cases, we'll see later in the video, they even get arrested. It's happening in thousands of schools, especially to Black and brown students. Statistics show Black students are 2.2 times more likely to be referred to law enforcement than white students. When an untrained teacher calls in a school resource officer, a cop, to deal with a child in crisis, the school isn't solving the problem, it's adding trauma to trauma. This is what happens when you don't have trauma-informed care in place. Instead of safety, you create fear. Instead of trust, you build walls. And those children start to believe school is a place where they're punished, not protected. We talked about that in episode 2 on the Pipeline Project. Go check out episode 2 on the Southwest Summer Say YouTube channel. Now, we got some real story examples. And I want you to watch these examples so you can see that this is not just word salad. This thing is happening in schools across the country. Let's start with the first clip. It shows exactly what happens when trauma gets mistaken for troublemaking. This child isn't trying to be disruptive, she's trying to survive.
After a 6-year-old girl from Orlando was arrested for behavioral issues at school, a state law was enacted this week to prevent that from happening again. The Kaya Roll Act prohibits children under the age of 7 from being arrested. Ever since her arrest, Kaya's family says that she has suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. I got a chance to speak with a little girl and her grandmother, and Kaya says she hopes that other children do not have to go through what she did.
It was really, really scary. And now that my loss passed, I can be sure that no other kid will never be arrested. It made me feel really happy because I know that other kids will be safe now.
And Kaya's grandmother says her family is now focused on helping Kaya with her PTSD.
So this clip we just watched showed that we needed legislation that was enacted 2 years after a 6-year-old girl from Orlando, Florida was arrested for behavioral issue at school. Her family reports now she suffered with post-traumatic stress disorder due to the incident. The child Kaya in the video expressed hope that no other children will endure a similar experience, but it's still going on. She expressed she wants to find happiness in knowing that a law named after her will keep other kids safe. This is the problem. We are responding to pain with punishment. So in our next clip, school call it behavior, but psychologists call it survival. This next clip hit hard for so many parents and educators. It breaks down how school discipline policies are failing the very kids they're supposed to protect. Watch this video.
I got it.
You don't even know the word promise.
I'm not asking you anymore. I'm telling you what we're doing. Do you understand?
No.
I'm not gonna hurt you. Come on. No? Okay. All right. Well, I've asked you, and I'm telling you, we're gonna go there, okay? Yeah, we are. Stop. Stop! You gotta stop. Look,
Ow, you're choking me.
just walk. You can walk. You can walk. You can walk. Let's walk. I'm not asking you anymore. I'm telling you what we're doing. Do you understand?
No.
Do you understand?
You saw in this video, when we don't train teachers, resource officers, and staff to understand trauma, kids suffer. That baby was suffering. We call it acting out, but psychologists see it for what it is, a nervous system in distress. That's why trauma-informed care isn't just a buzzword. It's the difference between criminalizing a child and actually helping them heal. So in our latest clip, you'll see why your anxious child get handled instead of help. In this last clip, sparked hundreds of comments, went viral. Parents who lived through this. Their child struggled with anxiety or panic attacks, and the school's only response was punishment.
A third grade student at Baldwin Community Schools was handcuffed by a school resource officer after throwing objects at staff on Monday. This incident is being reviewed by the school and the Lake County Sheriff's Office. The superintendent says the student was aggressive and uncooperative and was flipping over desks, throwing chairs and scissors at staff. He says before calling the school resource officer for help, the school's principal and social worker tried to intervene and calm the student down. The school district says handcuffs were placed on the student to prevent any harm to the student or others. The child's parents were called to the school and took the child home.
This is what happens when systems don't understand your help. A panic attack becomes a disruption, and anxiety-free get labeled non-compliance. And instead of getting accommodation, these kids get removed. That's not education. That is trauma on repeat. So if this isn't home for you, if you've seen a child punished for something that they couldn't control, do me a favor right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment that says, "We need change." And hit that bell notification so you'll never miss a video. Because the only way this system shifts is if we make enough noise. And if you're a parent, teacher, or advocate, share this video. There's someone on your timeline who needs to see this. So y'all, please share the video. As we transition, we have to talk about trauma-informed care and what it really is and how it can completely change the game for our kids. So how can trauma-informed care change everything? As we've seen in the video, we've seen the damage. We watch schools punish trauma like it's rebellion. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be this way. When schools embrace trauma-informed care, everything changes for the students, for the teachers, for the entire community. So how do we create change? We start by number one, recognize trauma signals. Fight, flight, freeze, those are signals. Trauma-informed care educators learn to recognize the sign of trauma, which often shows up in one or three ways. When staff can identify these patterns and responses to trauma, not defiance, they can respond with empathy instead of escalation. Instead of asking, why are you acting out? A trauma-informed approach asks, what happened to you at one shift? That one shift can change a child's entire experience. Number two, we gotta train staff to respond with compassion and not control. We gotta respond with compassion, not control. Discipline doesn't mean domination. It means guidance. But too many schools respond to stress with strictness instead of sensitivity. Trauma-informed training helps teachers regulate themselves first, so they don't escalate a child dysregulation. It gives them the tool to respond with calm, predictable, supportive strategies. Here's some examples of trauma-informed responses. Offering space, not shame. Using calm tone and body language. Giving students emotional vocabulary to describe what they feel. Creating classroom safety routines and emotional check-in. As educators, as administrators, as school resource officers, as counselors, as mental health professionals, we got to understand our tone. We got to understand our body language. We got to give students emotional vocabulary to use to describe how they're feeling. And we must create safety routines and emotional check-ins so a kid can come into a classroom and fun, productive learning environment and feel safe. They want to feel safe. The goal is not just academic success. Yes, we want our kids successful academically, but psychological safety is important as well. Number three, we must replace zero tolerance policies with restorative practices. Zero tolerance policies have done zero good for traumatized students. They remove kids from school without ever asking why they're struggling in the first place. But restorative practices flip that. Instead of punishment, they prioritize repair, reflection, and reintegration. They prioritize repair, reflection, and reintegration. So when harm happens, whether it's a fight, disruption, or an outburst, the focus isn't suspension, it's restoration. Students talk it out. Students take responsibility, and students reconnect with the classroom, with the community, with the educator, with the school. It's some benefits to restore the practice. Number one, it reduces suspension and expulsions. And it also builds emotional intelligence. It strengthens student-teacher relationships and breaks the shame cycle and restores dignity back into the child. The student-teacher relationship needs to be tighter. The bond needs to be tighter. And that's what happens when you restore the practices instead of zero tolerance policy. We must break the shame that our children face when being dragged out of classroom in handcuffs, are constantly suspended, are constantly in school suspension. We need to restore dignity and break shame. And the final piece to this, we must fund mental health teams over school police. Here's where policy and priorities come in. Many schools have multiple officers patrolling the hallways, officers all through the school, but not one single counselor or social worker or mental health professional in the school. We need to reverse that because you can't police away trauma. We need trained mental health professionals, people who know how to access, intervene, and support. Data supports this. According to the ACLU, over 1.7 million students are in schools with police but no counselors. Imagine that. Instead of criminalizing pain, trauma-informed schools create spaces where students are helped, heard, and healed. And that's what every child deserves. So parents, what can you do? If you're a parent watching this, you are not powerless. You have a right and a responsibility to ask your child's school the hard questions. And here are some of the exact questions you need to ask to make sure your child is being protected and not punished. So if you got time, take these questions down. The first one that you should ask: is your staff trained in trauma-informed practices? This should be the first question you ask when your child gets sent home for in-school suspension or expelled or arrested in school. Do your staff use trauma-informed practices? And if they don't know what trauma-informed care is, that's your first red flag. And one of your follow-up questions: what kind of training do teachers and school staff receive around mental health, trauma, or behavior intervention? The second question you need to ask: who supports students when they are in emotional distress? Don't assume your school has a mental health professional, because what you will find out, many don't. Find out who your child would turn to if they are triggered, anxious, or overwhelmed. And if you don't see the answer, your follow-up question should be: do you have a school counselor? Do you have social worker or behavior specialist available on site? Or is your school resource officer is who you turn to? You gotta ask the question. They're all questions, but you gotta ask. The third question you gotta ask: what discipline policies do you use for behavior issues? Ask whether the school use restorative practices or if they rely on zero tolerance discipline, like suspension or law enforcement referrals. Ask so you will know offhand what's gonna happen to your baby. Follow it up with how behavior issues handled when this child issues is tied to this child disability, this child mental health diagnosis, or the background, the trauma background that this kid faced. The next question you gotta ask: does my child qualify for a 504 plan or an IEP? If your child has ADHD, anxiety, PTSD, or behavior health challenges, there may be eligible legal protections. Don't wait for the school to suggest it. You can initiate the process yourself. Ask them, can we begin evaluation for a 504 plan or special education services? Those are questions that you need to be asked. Don't just let them send your child home. And the last question you need to ask: do you have a safety plan in place for children with trauma? See, students with trauma often need individualized emotional support. If the school will help create a behavior intervention plan, a BIP, a behavior intervention plan, a calming plan, or emotional support plan? These are questions you can ask. You don't have to be a specialist to advocate for your child. You just need to ask the right questions consistently, clearly, and confidently. You don't have to be an expert, because when parents get involved, schools start paying attention. This fight isn't just about one child or one school. This is a community issue. This is a nationwide issue. If we want lasting change, we have to build networks of parents, teachers, and advocates who refuse to let trauma go unaddressed and unacknowledged. So here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do this right now. Here are some action steps for you, the viewer. Drop a comment. If you're watching this and you've seen this happen to your child or any child, a student or someone in your community, drop a comment below. We have to raise awareness to the issue. Drop a comment below saying that we see you, because the first step is to change. The first step to change is letting people know they're not alone. Then they can share this video. Tag a parent or an educator who needs to hear this. Share this video with someone who works in education. Share this video with somebody who's a policymaker or a mental health professional. Let's get this conversation in the room where decisions are being made. Join the movement. If you want to be a part of a network of parents, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to be an advocate committed to trauma-informed education, I'm putting together something, a community that pushes back, speaks up, and protects our kids. Well, make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell notification so you don't miss it. Next week, we got a powerful episode on restorative justice. You don't want to miss it. We don't have to wait for the system to do something. We don't have to wait for the system to change. We can start changing it ourselves together. One school, one conversation, one child at a time. Trauma-informed care isn't just a buzzword. It's the bridge between punishment and protection, between surviving and thriving. If you made it this far, it's something for you. The parent advocacy checklist I mentioned earlier, you can download it look in the comment section. I'm gonna leave one in the comment section. Send me your email. I will email it directly to you. It has the 5 powerful questions that you can have on hand that every parent needs to ask their child's school today. We're making a final push. Don't just watch, act. Share the video, tag someone who needs it, and most importantly, speak up, because our kids deserve more. They deserve more than discipline. They deserve understanding. They deserve healing, and together we can make sure they get it. And until the next episode, thank you for being a part of this conversation, and we'll see you. Subscribe, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yo, hit that sub if you feel what we're bringing. Bring truth from the south, yeah, the bell steady ringing. We talk real talk, no cap, no disguise. From the block to the boardroom, we open in the eye. Politics, pain, and the power we claim. Every topic on fire, but the mission the same. Don't scroll past, take a second, press play, cause the south got something to say. Every week, yo.
Subscribe right now, don't wait, don't sleep. Got the truth in your ear and the vibe run deep. Real talk from the south, we gon' lead the way. So lock in with the team, got something to say.